What would you do if your mom looked you dead in the eyes and said, I'm dating Elon Musk? Or I don't know, Johnny Depp. Fill in the blank with any celebrity. What would you say? Would you laugh? Because I can imagine it being really hard not to, but they are dead ass serious. They're not saying, I'm a fan. No, they're saying they're dating them for real. And if you do laugh, because what else are you supposed to do? They get offended. And that's the part that people don't understand about romance scams. They don't start with money. They start with a story that makes somebody feel chosen and special. But romance scammers don't just steal cash. They build a private universe where everyone else is the enemy. And when the world finally falls apart, the scammer is already gone. But the devastation is still very real. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. You may know me from my true crime channel here on YouTube, Kimbyrleigha. I am Kimbyrleigha or Kimbyr, and this is Candidly Kimbyr. And on this channel, we dive into some of the most creepy and interesting real life stories, mostly from Reddit, but from around the web. And today, I'm going to be doing a part 2 of the most unhinged catfish and celebrity romance scam nightmares from Reddit, where somebody genuinely believes they are dating or engaged to a celebrity. Yep, this is round 2. And by the way, if you're here for part 1, these are even crazier. And if you haven't seen part 1, don't worry. I'll link it below in the description box, up in the cards, and at the end of this video. But quick note before we get started, because I mentioned this before, this video is not to make fun of people that have been scammed. If anything, these stories show us how scammers weaponize things like loneliness and grief and hope. So if you're watching this and you have also been pulled into something similar, you're not stupid. You were targeted. And if you've never been to this channel before, then I'm going to tell you what a lot of people already know who have. You are going to hear the least unhinged story to the craziest one, and they build up to the wildest one out of the bunch. So this first one is from the scam subreddit, and honestly, I think all of them are, but it is by Ready Tomato 4718. It's entitled, My Friend Has Fallen for Celebrity Romance Scam. All right, it goes like this. One of my good friends is a 66-year-old female, and she's been single for several years, lives alone, and has or had been pretty wealthy. Last November, she fell for a celebrity scam. She believes she's dating Cillian Murphy. And I just want to pause for a moment in case you're not aware of who that is. Think Peaky Blinders, one of my absolute favorite shows. Tommy Shelby, anyone? Yes. Now, I was going to name one of my kids Shelby because I think it's a really cool name, but also that is just an amazing character. But anyway, the poster goes on to say, to my knowledge, she has purchased Bitcoin, sent him thousands and thousands of dollars, bought him a brand new iPad and iPhone, several gift cards, and has never met him. He has asked on multiple occasions to wire him money for the house that he's buying for them. I have talked to her on several occasions that I believe she's being scammed, and she just got very defensive and says she knows what she is doing. Even Apple reached out to her and told her they believe she's being scammed. Wow, what service is that Apple is providing? It sounds like maybe it's a fraud alert, who knows? But why would a celebrity need all that stuff from someone less likely to be as well off as they are? Does anyone ever ask the person being scammed that question? Well, it's kind of a rhetorical question to you because yes, I know they have. I've researched this topic for the last video we did, and scammers manipulate. They play the long game. They build secret and believable narratives from the beginning. They've got the persuasion playbook, if you will, and victims are not simply gullible. It's emotional grooming. It's a real thing. And it's usually about the celebrity's assets being, let's say, temporarily unavailable, taken away by bad people, whether it's their agents or their family members. And now they need your grandma's help. But back to the story. The poster wrote, I'm sure the amount of her life savings that she has sent to him would make anyone fall over. And I'm so worried about her. I even went to the FBI's website to see if there was something I could fill out to have him investigated. But of course, I have very limited information to give them. What do? I feel lost because either I sit and watch her fall into a hole she can't dig herself out of, or I potentially end our friendship just to protect her. Yikes. And that must feel so frustrating and helpless. Now to the comments we go. The top one was from Kimbyrleigha, and they wrote, "These situations are difficult because your friend thinks that she's found love with someone that people would kill to be in a relationship with. You're attempting to convince her that she's both unloved and a dupe, which would you want to be true? That's why you can't push on these things. If she thinks that you're actively attempting to come between her and a new chance at love, she'll shut you out. Right now, her entire self-image is wrapped up in this. So it's no wonder that you're having a hard time getting through to her. The moment she believes you, her entire world comes crashing down. If she has absolutely no doubts, there's not much you can do, especially since you're in no position to force her into a legal situation that would allow you to protect her. But what you can do is be there for her. When she expresses doubts, affirm and amplify them. Always let her know that you're on her side and you want to see her happy also. Don't try to do it all yourself. It's above your pay grade. Talk to a professional and ask them what tools you might have available to you. And I've kind of never seen it exactly that way, but it makes so much sense. Imagine whoever you're dating right now, or if you're married to someone, or you're talking to someone, or you have been in the past, and let's say you tell your friend about it. And even if the person is real, because I'm guessing they are in most of our situations, wouldn't you be pretty mad if your friend was like, "Oh no, that's not going to work out"? Or if they said something like, "Oh, they really don't like you," you would be like, "What? Says who? What do you know?" I know what's real, right? So on some level, this is very similar. But what's not helpful are comments like the next one. The user deleted themselves, but they commented, "You can't fix stupid. You've warned her. That's all you can do other than let her family know what's going on." And see, here's the thing. Victim blaming, we know it's not cool. When we gain knowledge, we're less likely to name call a victim that way because it's hard to understand the psychology behind something that we are not personally affected by. But you have to understand, vulnerable people are targeted. I actually shared my catfishing story last time. I was a single mother, and there you go. The elderly, maybe someone unlucky in love, and the list goes on. Now, Siberian Gringo commented, "The truth is, there is often very little you can do when somebody is all in on living a life of delusion and denial. Eventually, they will be left penniless. And then you have to decide whether you are going to loan them money so they can continue their delusion and denial, and then later decide if you're going to take them in after they have given everything away." And that's sad. I hate to know that this is happening to so many people, but when people try to convince others of these scams, it really does seem like nothing works. Sometimes from the outside, it is shocking. And that brings me to my next story. It's also from the scam subreddit. Like I said, I think they all are, but this one's written by poster Sushi Mother. It's titled, "Woman Told Notary During the Closing for Her House That She Was Engaged to Jason Momoa." And most of you probably know who Jason is. I think of Game of Thrones. Khal Drogo, anyone? He was the one with Khaleesi. Anyway, the poster wrote, "I work for a company that does real estate closings. We just had a closing where the seller had requested a check for her closing proceeds because she did not have a bank account. This is uncommon, but it's something we've done before in a few cases. $10,000 of her proceeds are being held in our escrow account for an additional 2 weeks until the seller moves out of the property. She asked if this $10,000 could be split into 3 checks to pay some people off that I owe to. We told her we could only make the check out in her name, and she agreed, and it wasn't brought up again. She came in today to sign the closing documents, and apparently she mentioned to the notary that she's engaged to Jason Momoa, the actor. Obviously, this woman is being romance scammed. I don't know how long it has been going on or what exactly has been done, but we just gave this woman a check for over $100,000. That's probably going to be sent right to this scammer. I wouldn't be surprised if the scammer was the reason she's selling her home. as I know a lot of times they convince you to do that. Okay, so it's okay to react to these stories. We're not blaming the victim just because we are in shock, because wow, I too have heard of people selling off their homes, going to the extremes, getting rid of their entire life savings. And it's sad. That's so much money to be thrown away at a scammer. How do scammers sleep at night? That's what I want to know. The poster continued though. I doubt there's really anything we can do because she's most likely willingly engaging with this scammer, but I just feel really horrible about this whole thing. Is there anything we as the title company can do to report this or stop her? My coworker suggested accidentally voiding the check and making her get a new one in the hopes that the scammer would be impatient and give up. But I think that's just delaying the inevitable. And plus, the scammer has probably already sent her plenty of voided checks, hence the lack of a bank account. I can't really think of anything we can do here, but I thought I would ask. So this poster wanted advice. That's what she tagged this post as, help needed. Which reminds me, I have not checked our Candidly Kimbyr subreddit in quite some time, so I got to get there because I know I promised to tell some of your stories, but I digress. Let's look at the comments. I agree with the first one. They said, how painful to see the train wreck before it happens. Indeed it is. But the next commenter said, there's probably not much the poster can do, but another comment was like, bullshit. Do something. What if this was your mom? Call protective services. And what's interesting is someone mentioned FBI Cybercrimes Division, that they could probably get the money back within 72 hours of it being wired, and to call their number on their site. So I looked at their site. I'm going to put it up on the screen. I don't know if any of you out there need this information, but this is their website. This is the Internet Crime Complaint Center, and you can easily file a complaint right on their website. Or if you think that someone's in danger, of course, dial 911 or go and call your local police. But I think $100,000 is pretty serious, so it would at least be worth a try. I think that voiding the check does seem kind of like a good idea, but I don't know how far that would really go. The original poster did say they were going to call the police, they were going to see if they could do anything, and that this woman is 56 years old, so that doesn't really count as elderly, as in this being elder abuse. And speaking of her age, another commenter, Flipper Mode, said, oh, she's way too young to fall so hard. Her life is pretty much over, probably. I speak to a lot of seniors who are scammed, and there's no getting into their brains. Even if you make them repeat after you, they can't see how it correlates with them. A guy told me he needs money to pay a lawyer who is going to get the money that was scammed from him from a Chinese casino that he used for betting. I explained that money doesn't work that way, and he agreed. I explained that lawyers don't reach out to people via Facebook. He agreed. I told him how others are scammed, and he was shocked. Spent 2 hours on the phone taking notes, breaking things down with logic that old people can understand. And then he said he just needs $2,000 more so he can send it to the lawyer to get his $7,000 and $3,000 casino winnings. At a certain point, you just have to wash your hands of it. And wow, I can see how that would be really frustrating, because there you are explaining this to someone and they're like, oh, okay, yep. It's fake, it's a scam, but okay, but I kind of need my money to do what I just said I was going to do that you told me was a scam, and I agreed. But it's easier said than done, especially if this is a loved one. Like, what if it's your mother and she thinks that she's dating a famous actor like, I don't know, Mel Gibson? Because that is what our next story is about. The poster even shared a photo, and I'm going to show you in a moment, but it's titled, Mom is Convinced That She is in a Romantic Relationship with Mel Gibson. They wrote, my mom, who's 54, is convinced that she is in a romantic relationship with Mel Gibson, MG. She came across MG's profile in June and started a romance. After she bought Bitcoin for his membership card, I was able to successfully talk her out of this and cancel everything and block and report that profile. Within the week, she decided to report that MG profile to another MG profile, thus leading her to romance the supposed real Mel Gibson. So wait a minute. I want to make sure I'm following this correctly, so let me slow down. So the daughter convinces her mom that the mom is talking to a fake Mel Gibson Facebook profile. So then the mom goes and reports the fake one to another fake one that she now thinks is the real one. And she's DMing the so-called real one. Okay, so this is what I think the poster was screenshotting. This must be the new real fake profile of Mel Gibson with 5,000 followers. Wow. And take a look at the DM between this woman and the fake Mel Gibson. She says, "Will do as you wish," heart emoji. So he must have asked for something, and she says she's willingly going to do it. And Mel, well, in air quotes, Mel writes this over-the-top response. He says, "As we journey through life, we gain wisdom that helps us understand the true preciousness of every moment. It's like a treasure we discover as we grow older, isn't it? Embracing the purpose and beauty of life in a whole new light." And this woman hearted that comment. Wow. And even people on this fake Mel Gibson page are commenting about it being fake. One person said, "Mel, folks, this is yet another scam page. Seriously, this is Facebook. You really think that Mel Gibson will be here offering you a VIP card to private video chat with him? Wake up, people." But someone responded, of course they did, saying, "There's a lot of fake profiles on celebrities. How do you know which ones are real?" Even Gibson Mel left a comment. Wow. I mean, it never ceases to amaze me. But the poster went on to explain, this is escalated to WhatsApp chats and most recently a Skype video call. To my knowledge, my mother has not purchased or given away any money. She says she is not giving any personal information. Doubt. I'm stressed and at a loss for her. I've gone to the police station to ask for resources, and I've only received an informational paper on how to report, cancel, and notify. No matter my concerns, my mom asked me to trust her and that she knows what she's doing. Any advice is appreciated. And what's crazy is now AI can be used to change a person's looks to somebody else. I don't know if you can change it to a celebrity because I think that might be against a lot of terms of use. But who knows? Have you seen these videos of a guy essentially turning himself into a girl? And people are using this for things like OnlyFans. It's just another way to scam people. Now, commenter Chown Root Root said, if she's not too far lost, you can go to YouTube to a channel called Catfished Online and show her videos of celebrity romance scams. They have fake Johnny Depp and fake Jennifer Aniston and others. And if she's smart enough, she can figure out the situation is the same and that Mel will suddenly need money for nonsense reasons. And yes, we watched a clip in one of these videos, the last video on the same topic. We saw a guy that was being scammed into thinking he was dating Jennifer Aniston. But even when he found out it wasn't true, he was like, kind of knew all along, but it made him feel good, even though he knew it was fake. And that's some kind of backwards insight, right? And I have some more for it as well, even more backwards and deep. Because back in 2009, something like this kind of happened to me. Someone was stealing my photos off of my real Facebook and Twitter accounts, and they were using them on dating sites and also on a connected Facebook profile. And this person was having full-on conversations with a ton of people and acting like she was talking about me. But it was her with my picture. And to be fair, I was going through all of these posts and captions, and she had a really good sense of humor. She wrote very intelligently, and this was way before ChatGPT could help you with any of that. So when I saw this, I was half shocked and half intrigued. Why use my photos, I wondered? And a part of me could kind of understand at the time because I loved being really glamorous and I did some modeling back then. So I kind of understood it. But instead of reporting the Facebook page, I actually wrote to her as myself. And I genuinely told her that I was super curious about what she gets out of all of this because she knows it's not real. And it kind of broke my heart. She explained that society's definition of what is beautiful is definitely not her. she thinks I'm gorgeous and believes that she has a really good personality. If someone would just give her a chance, they would see that. But she can't even get her foot in the door with her own pictures. So she uses mine. And that opens up the opportunity for her to be herself, so to speak. But of course, behind someone else's face. Someone that she believed would be more accepted. And I couldn't believe it. Now, I did explain to her that it actually hurts me and my feelings because she's essentially making things up about me that are not true using my likeness. And that's kind of scary. And eventually, I did report her page. But it gave me some insight on what some scammers' mindset is like, at least catfishers anyway. Now, the next commenters seem to think more of an exposure therapy session may help. They said, take her out to eat or go shopping in a low-income area. Then point out different men you already know she wouldn't have the time of day for. Pick any of them. And then say, Mom, look, there's Mel Gibson walking by. Go give that guy $1,000 or this other guy $10,000. The point is, this is what your mom is actually doing by getting scammed online. And I have to say, I understand this commenter's point, but I'm sure the victim will have an excuse like, don't be silly. None of those random guys are my Melly G. And someone pointed that out. They said, except it's not the same. This builds up people's emotions over a period of weeks and months, which they then use those emotions to prey on their victims. It's not just random people asking for money within 2 seconds of meeting them. And I think that is such a good point. Now, socialcatfish.com is the company that I told you about in my last video. They help people see the truth. And there's a channel called Catfished on YouTube that showcases people's stories in the process. And there are some really interesting ones on there. I just watched this one about someone from Stranger Things, an actor, convincing a woman to send him $10,000. It was Dacre Montgomery. I don't know if you know who that is. He plays Billy. I mean, who wouldn't want him to be talking to them? But the backstory that this particular scammer used, that this pretend actor used, was wild. The fake actor was like, I'm breaking up with my girlfriend. I need money on the DL. But this team from Catfished asked this woman, why do you think this actor would need money from you? Like specifically you. And here's a clip that shows you a bit about probably why she got targeted.
I am a single mom from Kentucky. I have a daughter who's about to turn 7. I have been a single parent pretty much since she's been born. I'm separated from my husband. He's estranged, I guess you could put it that way. He lives over 500 miles away. We separated because he was very toxic.
So there you go. I mentioned being a single mom. And also, if you listen to this woman, she said she was separated from her husband, that she was in a toxic relationship with. So again, there you go. A person who wants to believe in love, and I'm guessing has been in bad luck in other situations in the past with love, they feel alone. She also mentioned being a filmmaker and an actor on the side, and they met this so-called Dacre in a filmmaking group. And what I thought was crazy and then thought it's not so crazy is that this scammer is obviously targeting this group because they know they're going to connect with someone who has something in common, filmmaking. And that's the first thread they're going to pull when they pull off this scam. And when this scammer said that they were a celebrity to this victim, she even laughed and said, "Oh, I hope you're not going to tell me that you're Johnny Depp." And it's sad because I can see the emotional pull that someone would have. She said that at first she was skeptical, but then the scammer was doing things that confirmed to her it was really the actor. And I'm telling you, I was invested in the story because from my last video, you would know I got scammed by fake Ashton Kutcher. So I wondered what made her believe. She said first it was him confiding in her that his girlfriend was controlling, and she could relate. The scammer said that his girlfriend won't let him do what he wants, and she talked to him for over a year, y'all. And he said, okay, I finally broke up with my girlfriend. So she goes and checks the real actor's Instagram, mostly because the scammer told her to, and she didn't see any posts of the actor's girlfriend and him, so she figured that confirmed it. But I kept thinking, well, then why don't you just DM him from his blue checkmark account? But you see, he would probably say, oh, it's being monitored. And that's so frustrating Before I go back into the Reddit stories again, I just want to make one more comment about this particular story with Dacre Montgomery, right? He told the victim to watch episode 4 of the show a day before that season came out. We're talking about Stranger Things. And when the victim watched, she said that the character Billy was in it. So she was like, oh my God, how would he have known that? I don't know. You tell me. I was thinking maybe it got released earlier somewhere else and he uses that as part of the ruse. But she started sending him gift cards because, as he put it, his girlfriend controlled all of his accounts. And this went on until it was over $10,000 in more than a year. But back to the Mel Gibson situation real fast. Before we move on to another story, one of the commenters asked, why not show your mom Mel Gibson's partner, Rosalind Ross, and ask your mom if she thinks that she's prettier or better or more desirable? And I'm sure your mom will say no. And then ask why she thinks Mel would risk his relationship to pursue something with her. And also, he's worth $425 million. But the poster explained, I've mentioned his current partner. I even asked her to consider what makes her, my mom, so special that this is going to happen or is currently happening. It hurt to say that, but it's the facts that she needs to hear and consider. I agree that senility is not the factor, knock on wood. She does tend to display more narcissistic characteristics, if anything. She's lonely romantically. Marriage didn't work out for her, and that experience has definitely traumatized her. Dating didn't work out as men were trying to take advantage of her financially, and as for friends, they are far away. But my mom doesn't make the effort to nurture social relationships, nor is she social herself. If she does make an acquaintance, it's all surface level and polite conversations. And see, there it is. There it is. I mean, it's not called romance scams for nothing. People who genuinely want to find love are willing to take a risk. I mean, haven't you been able to think about taking that same risk even when you're meeting someone for real in person? It's always some sort of balancing act. But it's hard when maybe they send things to you too, like a diamond necklace or a fake one. Because this next story, that actually happened. And it was convincing to some. Window Poems wrote, how can I convince my mom that she's not dating Kevin Costner? My mom is a 72-year-old married woman with disabilities. And for the last 5 months, she's been messaging Kevin Costner. At this point, there are like 70 different Kevin Costner profiles that are sending her messages on Facebook. And she thinks they're all him. They asked her to switch to different apps to talk, so she downloaded Telegram and WhatsApp. He sends voice texts and makes phone calls. I see her texting on her phone constantly now, and I know it's with this man. He apparently sent her a diamond necklace, which I found online, and it's $75, photo attached. He's talked about buying her an engagement ring. Okay, so Kevin Costner probably isn't someone that most young people would even give the time of day, so to speak, because he's not really, as popular nowadays. But this is someone, remember, that's older. This is a 72-year-old woman who probably fell in love with one of his characters in a movie. So they do have that parasocial relationship. And now look at this poster. They show this necklace. It's very pretty. It has a heart. And obviously this is the victim's daughter. So she's going to go ahead and reverse image search this. And she finds this on Google and finds out it's basically worthless. And you know what else? Her mom probably paid for it, because if her mom is giving the scammer money, he can use a little of that to scam her even more. You think grandma's going to go do an image search? No. The poster even wrote, I have read her articles about this exact scam, and she believes me for a few hours and then gets right back to it. She doesn't send him money that I know of, but she did admit that he has been asking for gift cards. She let me and my sister block a bunch of the accounts on 2 different occasions on her Facebook, but they always just multiply again. There are hundreds of messages on there, and it's very difficult to find all the profiles and block them. It's especially difficult because they always know how to find her again. Isn't that scary? She went on to say, I'm aware that a part of this is mental health related. It's extremely worrisome, and I just don't know what to do. At first, it was funny, and it quickly became extremely bleak, and I'm sad and concerned for her. I'm not kidding. She's making me watch a documentary narrated by Kevin Costner with her right now. I feel like I'm in a fever dream. What should I do? So, okay, I know this poster said that they were aware that it was a mental health related issue, but it's really not. Vulnerability doesn't equal mental health problem. It's a very complex persuasion toolkit that's been put in place. There's going to be a smaller subset of people who do have a cognitive or possibly psychological issue going on. But as I explained in the beginning of this video, and also in my last one, when it comes to being scammed, it's way deeper. It's not just, oh, the victim is just mentally unwell. I mean, we're all a little crazy, right? But being serious, chalking it up to it being a mental health issue really minimizes the lengths that a scammer is willing to go. Romance scam research has found that many victims are either middle-aged, they're well-educated, and are otherwise ordinary functioning adults. The findings point more towards things like high trust, impulsivity, or sensation seeking, idolizing romance and dependency more than someone being mentally ill or having a mental health diagnosis. Commenter Naxos83 said, "Stop playing whack-a-mole with the scammers and shut her social media down." And we've seen this before last time. And it does make a lot of sense, but her mom's an adult. I mean, you can't possibly monitor her every minute. And I'm sure she can figure out how to make another Facebook account. But it also hurt my heart to read this comment from Icy Control 9525. They said, "I've dealt with this with my mom. I ended up just logging into all of her socials and blocking people constantly. I showed her a bunch of videos on pig butchering scams, and this kind of got through to her. The big problem is she's lonely." I have to cut in. Pig butchering scams? Okay, I hope I don't go down a rabbit hole tonight, but I suppose I will. The commenter said, "The big problem is she's lonely. I finally got her grandkids to call her more and took her to see my sister more, kept calmly showing her these folks are scammers, made her promise not to leave Facebook to talk to them. I go through her phone weekly, sometimes finding her talking to scammers and giving out personal information and pictures. But she is getting better at telling scammers from real people. I got Aura for her and now locked all of her credit profiles." Now, I've worked with that company, Aura, and they are really good. So that is really sound advice. Being able to actively monitor a vulnerable person and what they're doing, that's good. But now for this last story. I feel like I chose one of the most unhinged ones, just about how deep it goes and how bizarre I think it is. But the title is "Mom Thinks She's Dating Jason Momoa." And I know this sounds familiar, but this is a different one. Mostly because this one includes Elon Musk as well. It goes like this. "My mom has been a victim of multiple romance scams for months, possibly close to a year, believing that she's in a relationship with Jason Momoa and that Elon Musk is going to send her money. No matter how much my family tries to convince her that it's fake, she refuses to listen. I believe she was targeted through Instagram, where she follows many Jason Momoa fan accounts. Scammers likely message her through there and convince her to download Telegram, where she now talks to them regularly. She shares personal information, including details about me and other family members, as well as her ID and our home address. At one point, someone even sent her a fake check in the mail, which she tried to cash. Her belief in these scams has caused serious damage to our family. My parents' relationship was already rocky due to past issues. My dad may have cheated on my mom. I'm not sure if he did, but from messages I was able to read when snooping through my mom's phone, that's what I can see. I know it's not right to snoop through people's phone, especially parents, but it's come down to this. My mom is obviously hurt and not in a good place mentally, and I think she's finding comfort in these scammers. She insists that she's met Jason Momoa in person, but has no proof, saying he's currently in the hospital in Toronto. When I showed her that the real Jason is publicly dating Adria, I don't know if I'm saying that right, or filming movies, she got defensive. She even played me a voice message from Jason that is clearly AI generated. It was robotic, fast-paced, and obviously scripted, but she refused to accept that it wasn't real and got angry. So saying that she's actually met Jason in person is kind of crazy. But it's not so crazy that she thinks that an AI-generated voice of the actor is real because guess what? I came to find out you can go to a certain website, I'm going to show it here, and you can select a celebrity's voice and turn your voice into them. So I tried it. Here's my original voice. Hi, everyone. It's Kimbyrleigha, the real Kimbyrleigha. It's obvious, right? Or is it? Because I'm using AI to turn my voice into Ariana Grande's voice. You can tell, can't you? And well, here's the result.
Hi, everyone. It's Kimbyrleigha, the real Kimbyrleigha. It's obvious, right? Or is it? Because I'm using AI to turn my voice into Ariana Grande's voice. You can tell, can't you?
Okay, is that not the weirdest thing? I mean, that's so creepy. But back to the story. The poster said, she has also canceled important family plans because of this. My older sister planned for her daughters to see our mom, but she refused to come unless she could bring Jason. My sister, knowing this is a lie, refused because the request was bizarre, but also because our mom is still married to our dad, and my nieces are all below the age of 7. So she was worried what message this would send to them. My sisters and I are considering staging an intervention, and I plan to report everything to the police. However, I need to gather more information from her phone first, which may take time. Is there anything else me and my sisters can do in this situation in legal terms? My entire family is suffering from this, and especially me, as I'm the youngest one, 19 of my sisters, who is still living with both my parents. So I'm the one who has to hear this all the time, and that is really tough. I feel for this poster, and I feel for so many others. Now, a person called Rachel Reddit had a plan that I hadn't heard before. They said maybe you should create a scam account and start communicating with your mom through it, and then walk up to her and show her all the conversations and show her how fake it is and that she fell for it when it was you behind the screen. Then maybe she'll question the rest of them. Now, see, that's interesting, but I think it might backfire because now you're lying to her. So who can she trust? But the fact that she's married and her husband could incur debt or even worse, that's not only sad, but difficult. Another commenter, KindlySkin6877, had kind of an odd way of dealing with this problem. They suggested, ask her to bring him over next time. See what she says. Can you make a fake account and make some AI photos of her doing messed up stuff with Jason Momoa? Maybe if you convince her it's a different type of scam, she will listen. Now, right away. Others were responding to this, and one said, yeah, I wouldn't advise making like revenge porn of this literal mother and Jason Momoa. I'm not sure what the point of that would be at all, and definitely would make her feel like her son didn't care about her and didn't want the best for her, which is the ideal vibe. Now, the commenter, the original one, confirmed and clarified. They were like, oh my God, not revenge porn, not of his mom, but like of them doing something together that she would never do, like flipping people off or something, so that she understands the power of AI. Please, do not make AI porn of your mom. Yeah, please, don't make AI content of anyone, especially that kind. But I mean, you could essentially tell the person if they are sharing pictures of themselves, they should be worried that those pictures could be being used for something nefarious. And I kept thinking, if there was a way to actually crack down on more of these scammers and they could actually be punished to a high degree, then it would be less likely they would exist. But as I mentioned before, a lot of these scammers are not in the United States. Our laws don't apply. However, they can still be held liable, but it is a very long, grueling, and complex process that's also expensive. And it all depends on the severity of the crime. And are you going to want to fork over more money and go to court and file all that paperwork when you've already been scammed? I don't see that as being something someone would want to go through. But I do appreciate all of these stories. I do feel for people going through this, and I feel like it's going to get even more prevalent and scary. I'm about to go look up that other topic of the whole pig butchering thing, and I'll be back later for another video. So I'll see you in my next one. Bye.